Hello, 7th standard CBSE children. Have a good day. Have a nice day. I hope you are doing well. And today we are going to do video number 20 as chapter 10 Respiration in Organism as revision. We are just going to revise. I am just going to sum up the lesson. What you have learned so far. You have learned in April, May, second topic that I have again revised recently, and so based on those two videos, today we are going to revise or discuss chapter 10 Respiration in Organism, right? And this portion will be included for our half-yearly examination. As I said in previous videos, we used to write periodic assessment 1 and 2, terminal 1 and 2, unit test. In the half-yearly portion, we are going to revise. Right? Now, tell me what is respiration? Respiration is one of the most important living characteristics. I hope you remember. So, taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide is called respiration. Taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide is known as respiration. Right? But normally we say taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide, it is well indicated by the animals, and we name it as breathing. We use the term breathing. Whereas in plants, there also respiration is taking place at the same time. That is cellular respiration. So first breathing, then second one cellular respiration will occur. What is it? Respiration, we know. When it is taking place in the cells, it is cellular respiration. At the same time, this cellular respiration is mainly noticed in plants, as the food prepared by the process photosynthesis by the green leaves, it has to be utilized into usable energy. It has to be made into usable energy. So this preparing food by the process of photosynthesis, the end products are carbohydrates and oxygen, and this oxygen is evolved as a byproduct. And this glucose or carbohydrate or starch is made into usable energy. That usable energy formation, utilization is cellular respiration. So normally we say in plants, photosynthesis is a constructive process, whereas or anabolic process, whereas respiration is a destructive process, where catabolic process. Both together in combination of catabolism and anabolism together is forming metabolism. Are you clear? So the same metabolism is taking place in animals also, and that it takes part different organs in animal, different organ system. They are taking part in all these metabolic activities. I hope you understand. So now we talk about breathing, taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. Now what are the organs for breathing? There are different organs for different animals for breathing. So the first amoeba, as usual, lowermost animal, amoeba is body surface. Amoeba, body surface. Then again earthworm, again it is body surface. Normally we call it as moist skin. And in insects, it is by a structure called spiracles. In insects, it is known as spiracles. Are you clear? Yeah? And then in higher animals, it is by normally lungs. Okay. And then this respiration, it is as normally we call it as cutaneous respiration, pulmonary respiration, and gill respiration. Gill respiration normally another fish. And all aquatic animals will breathe through gills. That is typical example, different kinds of fishes. Same way, frog, when they are in larval form, they respire through gills. I hope you are following. And pulmonary respiration are the lungs. Okay. And cutaneous respiration, it is skin. Normally in frog and earthworm, the moist skin that is taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide, is done through moist skin in earthworm and frog. So it is known as cutaneous respiration. I hope you are able to follow this. So respiration in lower organism is of different types. So now, say for example, see this figure. This is earthworm. Okay, and it is having moist skin. So oxygen is getting in and carbon dioxide is given out. This figure. And this is spiracle. In insects, for example, cockroach, the entire segment, they are provided with trachea, and each tracheal tubule, they are opening outside to the exterior through an opening called spiracle, through which carbon dioxide is given up, oxygen is taken in. I hope you could follow this. Then this figure, another, can you recognize? This figure, it is fish. This is fish, respiring through gills. And these two, this is frog. Frog will respire through skin. Frog, when it respires through skin, it is called cutaneous respiration. The skin, moist skin. So in the frog, the oxygen getting in, the carbon dioxide given out. I hope you understand. So this is cutaneous respiration. So this frog normally respiring through three different methods. One is cutaneous respiration, that is through the skin, and when it is in tadpole stage, it is gill respiration, that is called tadpole stage, and when it becomes adult, it respires through the lungs, that is pulmonary respiration. I hope you are able to follow this. So that is respiration. Normally, respiration, we say it has to be made into usable energy. So, for example, the number of times an organism breathes. The number of times an organism breathes in a minute is called breathing rate, or it is known as respiratory rate. So the average breathing rate of an adult at rest, normally 12 to 20 times per minute. And this rate of respiration is differing based on the different activities. Suppose when we are at rest, breathing rate will be normal. When athlete is breathing, breathing rate will be faster. When athlete is climbing the stair, when a person is climbing the stair, breathing rate will be faster. And when we are doing work faster, that in stress or tension, breathing rate will be faster. So normally breathing rate differs from different activity and also from person to person. I hope you understand. So the life process involved in the release of energy from food is known as respiration. I repeat, the life process involved in the release of energy is known as respiration. I hope you understand. So the process of respiration, it involves two steps. One is breathing, which is the physical process of inhaling or taking in or inspiring the oxygen-rich air and exhaling out or giving out or expiring out is carbon dioxide is known as breathing. Right? The next step is cellular respiration, which is the process that releases energy by breaking down food molecule. I hope you understand this. So there are two steps of respiration. One is oxygen breathing, another one cellular respiration. Are you clear? And then, as I said, different organisms will have different respiratory organ. Now, what is the structure of lungs in human? What can we say? Human lung. What can we say? Structure of human lung. Can you remember the diagram? This is the diagram, human lungs. So now this human lung, what is the respiratory passage? Human lung respiratory passage. It is first external nostril, and then nasal cavity, external nostril, nasal cavity, and then it enters to pharynx. It enters to pharynx and then larynx, and then trachea. Trachea is also known as windpipe. Trachea is also known as windpipe. It is formed of C-shaped, inverted C-shaped cartilaginous ring. This is C-shaped, inverted C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Cartilage, as we know, it is not a bone, it is a soft tissue which is flexible. Cartilaginous rings. And that trachea is branching into two as bronchus, and then that enters into the lungs. It enters into the lungs as bronchioles. Bronchi and bronchioles. In a diagram, I have already given a good diagram earlier with the worksheet. Another neat diagram. We don't only rough diagram. Okay. Now this bronchioles, in turn, it is formed of bubble-like air pockets like this. Bubble-like air pocket called alveoli. Bubble-like air pocket called alveoli. And this lungs, they rest on a band of tissue called diaphragm. A band of tissue called diaphragm. And this diaphragm is playing a major role in respiration. I hope you are able to follow. So now the respiratory tract, first the process is called inspiration. One minute. The process is called inspiration. Process is known as inspiration or inhalation or taking in oxygen. External nostril, the மூக்குக்குள்ள external nostril, the மூக்குக்குள்ள உள்ளது nasal cavity, followed by that pharynx. Larynx na the voice box, larynx or voice box, and that opens into the trachea. Trachea and நீளமா இருக்கும், uniform size and shape. நல்ல uniform size and shape நீட்டா வரையணும், right? And it is inverted C-shaped cartilaginous rings. It branches into two bronchus and bronchi. Each one is bronchus, and then bronchus entering into spongy elastic lungs, and that in turn bronchus is branching into bronchioles, and these bronchioles, they are nothing but alveoli air pockets which are rich in blood capillaries. So that is inspiration. Now this lungs, they are safely protected inside the rib cage. Rib cage another appendicular skeleton படிச்சிருக்கோம்ல, sorry, axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton படிச்சிருக்கோம்ல. Axial skeleton, it is a skull or cranium or brain box. Another one rib cage, and third one vertebral column. Yeah. So in the rib cage kulla the lungs and heart, they are protected well. I hope you understand this. And this ribs, they are formed of intercostal muscle. Rib cage, it is formed of intercostal muscle. Okay, and during inspiration, this intercostal muscle, we are naming it as internal intercostal and external intercostal muscle. And during respiration, first inspiration is taking place. What happens when we inhale oxygen? When we breathe in oxygen, this diaphragm, the base sheet of the lungs, basement, this basal sheet of the lungs diaphragm, it is becoming flattened. Upon the rib cage, thorax, that rib cage will become vertical and expand. Understand, very good? அப்படி உறிஞ்சிருவது இந்த diaphragm மேலே போகும், இந்த rib cage வந்து expand ஆகுது. I hope you understand. What happens? அப்போ air pressure in the oxygen, when it is pushed forward, oxygen is entering into the lungs. அதுக்கு ரெண்டு மூவ்மெண்ட் இருக்கு. ஒன்று வந்து external intercostal muscle will contract and diaphragm will move up. ரெண்டு event muscles வந்து ரெண்டு event. First diaphragm will become flattened and contraction of external intercostal muscle will become the chest cavity widened. அப்போ உள்ள air pressure கம்மியா இருக்கிறதுனால உள்ள இந்த inhale பண்ற oxygen it is pushed in. Then it is exchanging with the carbon dioxide. Then vice versa, relaxation of the diaphragm, regaining its dome shape, and internal intercostal muscle will contract. That way, carbon dioxide will be given out, and that process is expiration. That process is expiration. I hope you understand. Appo reverse track of the respiratory process as carbon dioxide, bronchioles, bronchus, trachea, remained by larynx, pharynx, nasal cavity, external nostril. அந்த மாதிரி வெளியில போயிடும். I hope you understand this. So here, let's understand. Follow this 1 minute. See respiration. In the diagram, I will காமிச்சேன் respiration. அதே மாதிரி இதுவும் inspiration, expiration. இது வந்து during inspiration, இது வந்து during expiration. I hope you understand. So here diaphragm become flattened. The thoracic cavity, volume of the thoracic cavity expands. அப்போ pressure வந்து உள்ள கம்மியா இருக்கு. So oxygen is pushed in. இதுல வந்து relaxation, internal intercostal muscle will push the carbon dioxide out. சரியா? So now from the nasal cavity, an organ called pharynx, from the nasal cavity, an organ called pharynx, which has two openings, the esophagus, food pipe, and the windpipe or trachea. And the trachea branches into two smaller tubes, bronchi, singular bronchus, and each bronchus opens into the lungs. Each bronchus opens into the lungs. Okay? And inside the lung, the bronchus divides into many tiny tubules called bronchioles. And these bronchioles enter into very small air sacs called alveoli, singular alveolus. And there are more than 300 million alveoli are present in each human lung. And the alveoli are richly supplied with blood through a network of capillaries. Capillaries என்ன சொல்லிருக்கேன்? Arteries, it is arterioles, veins, it is venules. ஞாபகம் வருதா? Right. So this is the path taken by inhale here. இது வந்து எப்படி வரிசையா எழுதலாம். இது reverse orderல exhale here. I hope you understand. So just beneath the lungs, இது மட்டும் படிக்கிறேன், just read பண்றீங்க, listen பண்ணேன். How air enters the lungs. Just beneath the lungs is a thin sheet of muscle called diaphragm. And during inhalation, diaphragm contracts and moves down. And the muscles attached to the ribs are the first external intercostal muscle contract and pull the ribs outwards. So volume of the thoracic cavity will increase. As a result, the size of the chest cavity or thoracic cavity increases and the lungs expand. And oxygen-rich air is inhaled into the lungs at this stage. And during exhalation, diaphragm relaxes and moves up. And the muscles of the ribs relax and then ribs will move inward. As a result, size of the chest cavity decreases and lungs contract and air rich in carbon dioxide is expelled out from the body. I hope you are able to follow this. இது வந்து ஒரு எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட். நான் வந்து அப்போ இந்த லெசன் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுறது காமிச்சேன், பாட்டில் காமிச்சேன். இது வந்து பாட்டிலுக்குள்ள டேக் ஏ பாட்டில், கீழே வந்து ஒரு பலூனை ஃபிட் பண்ணு, அண்ட் தென் மேலே ஒன் ஹோல் கார்க், இல்லைன்னா நம்ம பாட்டில் மூடியில் ஒரு மேக் அ சிங்கிள் ஹோல். தென் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் அ ஸ்ட்ரா, நம்ம ட்ரிங்க்ஸ் குடிப்போம்ல, கூல் ட்ரிங்க்ஸு, அந்த ஸ்ட்ராவை போட்டு அதில் அதர் எண்டில் you attach a balloon, you tie a balloon, right? So when you blow air, this diaphragm will expand. So oxygen is entering in. Then when you lose it, then carbon dioxide will be given out. I hope you understand. I hope I remember. You can recollect the experiment that I showed it, right? So first, இது வந்து white tube referring to trachea, and bronchi. இது வந்து trachea, இப்படி ரெண்டா பிரியது வந்து bronchi. இந்த bell jar வந்து chest cavity. இந்த bottle வந்து chest cavity. Then balloon தான் lungs. Okay. And the rubber sheet is representing the diaphragm. Rubber sheet representing the diaphragm. I hope you are able to follow this. Clear after? Check. Now this cellular respiration. Next one, it is cellular respiration. As we have two types. One is aerobic respiration and another one is anaerobic respiration. One is aerobic respiration and another one anaerobic respiration. Here aerobic respiration as C6H12O6 plus 6O2 will give 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus 2009 kilojoules of energy. This is the equation for aerobic respiration. Are you clear? Aerobic respiration, you have equation C6H12O6 and the glucose that is prepared during photosynthesis, right? And then or animals, the food that is taken in, the carbohydrate, the energy is broken down into usable form. So this is C6H12O6 plus 6O2 in presence of oxygen. So respiration in presence of oxygen, it is so aerobic glucose where C6H12O6 in presence of oxygen, it is made into usable form and as a result carbon dioxide is released, and that energy released in usable form the 2009 kilojoules of energy. Now, as it is taking place in presence of oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. Okay. Same way, when it is in the absence of oxygen, C6H12O6 will give ethyl alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus 50 kilojoules of energy. Now this ethyl alcohol formation, anaerobic respiration. This is anaerobic respiration. So this ethyl alcohol is one method of byproduct. Another one is lactic acid formation. We'll just continue. So we'll continue this aerobic respiration that takes place in presence of oxygen, and it results in the formation of carbon dioxide and water and releases energy. And that releasing energy, we number it as 2900 kilojoules. The unit was kilojoules. And all animals and plants carry out aerobic respiration. And you should know the equation. C6H12O6 plus 6O2, that will give 6 CO2, 6 water plus energy. In the equation, it is the reverse of photosynthesis equation. Reverse of equation for photosynthesis. Another C6 CO2 plus 6 H2O. In the arrow, in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, will give glucose or starch or carbohydrate plus oxygen. And this oxygen is given out as byproduct. So it is just the reverse of photosynthesis equation. I hope you understand. Right? Now, this type of reaction is called oxidation reaction. This aerobic respiration, this type of reaction, it is called oxidation reaction. Whereas animals and human beings cannot think of life without oxygen. But still, there are some organisms that breathe without oxygen. So, they did some organism, they take energy through a process called anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is made of cellular respiration that does not use oxygen. That we say in the absence of oxygen to break down food molecules and release energy. Right? And as a result of this anaerobic respiration, the byproducts are one method of anaerobic respiration. It is ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide and 50 kilojoules of energy. And in another method of anaerobic respiration, that is in the absence of oxygen, C6H12O6 and lactic acid formation. And the lactic acid formation, we have what to say, these athletes when they run, or people those who are jogging, or some people when they stretch leg at night, people suffer from muscle cramp. And this muscle cramp is formed by this anaerobic respiration. So when that particular part of the portion in the body, where cramp is formed, when there is insufficient supply of oxygen, that is totally absence of oxygen improved, there is accumulation of lactic acid. So and then when the person is at rest, when the person becomes normal, when he gets normal supply of oxygen, that muscle cramp will go off. So that is lactic acid formation. So இது நார்மலா அத்லெட்ஸ்க்கு கிராம்ப் வரும்போது வரும். I hope you understand. Anaerobic respiration occur in human muscle cells. Sometimes when we exercise heavily, the body cannot supply enough oxygen to the muscles to completely break down the sugars into carbon dioxide and water. So as a result, glucose is broken into lactic acid. So this is called lactic acid, and this method is called fermentation. Normally we use the term fermentation. So this is glucose in the absence of oxygen, lactic acid plus energy is formed. I hope you understand this. Now you should know the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Another aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, carbon dioxide, water and energy are the byproduct. More energy is released and glucose is broken down completely in aerobic respiration. Then you have to write the equation for aerobic respiration. And then C6H12O6 plus 6O2 will give 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus 2900 kilojoules energy. Similarly for anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. Then carbon dioxide and ethyl alcohol or lactic acid are the byproduct. Less energy is released and glucose is not broken down completely. And normally this type of anaerobic respiration takes place in bacteria, yeast and then in some muscle cells during heavy work or heavy exercise. Then you have to write the equation for anaerobic respiration. I hope you understand this. So this is respiration in animals. Sorry. This is respiration in animals, whereas same respiration is taking place in plants also. 1 minute. This respiration, it is taking place in plants also as respiration taking place in plants also, and that is mainly taking place through the opening called stomata. Stomata, this is a structure for stomata having a bean-shaped cell, this is called God cell. Bean-shaped cell called God cell with the nucleus and chloroplast, and these are called epidermal cells. These are epidermal cells. Okay. Normally in green plants, this is the structure of leaf when we take a transverse section with the upper and lower epidermis. Structure will be like this, upper and lower epidermis. Now on the surface of the epidermis, this stomata are present. You will put here a leaf, but will be having a big structure. So we find this stomatal opening by the closing and opening of the stomata, that is exchange of gases taking place. Normally stomata are meant for exchange of gases. What are the gases to be exchanged? During photosynthesis, carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is given out, and during respiration oxygen is taken in, carbon dioxide is given out, and during transpiration this excess water is evaporated in the form of water vapor. That is also done through this stomata. Now in plants, during respiration oxygen is taken in. At the same time, plants during photosynthesis oxygen is released. So that released oxygen or the oxygen that is evolved can also be taken by the green plants for respiration. And normally photosynthesis will occur only during daytime. So that oxygen when the plants are taking for respiration, then it is said to be photorespiration. I hope you understand. So in plants, photorespiration is also taking place. What is that? When the plants utilize oxygen for respiration, which is released during photosynthesis, it is said to be photorespiration. I hope you understand this. Then, so this is for respiration in plants, and again in respiration in plants, it is mainly as exchange of gases. Then you should know the structure of stomata, and then in wood stem, the woody bark in the marakalil scratch mari bark special. So in wood stem, the woody bark, it is having an opening called lenticels. It is called lenticel. So respiration can take place through this opening lenticels. So the roots of plants also need oxygen. Root has taken oxygen from the air spaces present between the soil particles. And over-watering plants can kill them because the air spaces between the soil particles get filled with water, so roots cannot breathe. So we should be careful while watering the plant. Mangrove trees, that is Abyssinia, breeding root modification and mangrove trees which grow in marshy area, that is the soil which is deficit of oxygen. That are example Abyssinia and Rhizopora. Abyssinia is a tree, it will be having a normal root system, but at the same time it is not having sufficient oxygen. So surrounding the tree there are pillar-like projection, that is called breathing root or nematophores. Otherwise it is aerial root. Through that oxygen is taken in. Whereas in aquatic plants, in floating plants, stomata are on the upper surface of the leaf, and submerged plants do not have stomata. So gas exchange is taking place directly between the cells and the water. Water dissolved oxygen and most aquatic plants have air spaces in the leaves because they have more intercellular spaces, and stem to store and transport oxygen. In floating plant, they help the plant to float freely. I hope you are able to follow this. So this is for respiration, where we have, you should know the respiratory organs in lower organisms, and then human respiratory system, structure of lungs, mechanism of respiration, cellular respiration as aerobic and anaerobic respiration, and then respiration in plants. These are the portions we have discussed today. So prepare well for the exam. Wish you all the best. We will continue in the next session. Thank you.